All right, welcome back to the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. My name is Clint Knight.
And I'm Jacob Horde.
I think is this episode 97? Is that where we are?
I think so. 97? Rico's number.
Yeah, Rico's number, who got a win last night at the Chili Bowl. We're squeezing one in here tonight. I am sitting outside a middle school basketball gym because it is wrestling season, basketball season, indoor soccer season, ski team season, and softball conditioning. So also go Dogs. My beloved Bulldogs won the national championship on Monday night, and I've barely slept since then because I didn't sleep Monday night, and I've been watching Chili Bowl ever since. So we appreciate you guys tuning into the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast here again this week. Man, we've crammed 3 episodes into 1 week.
Yeah.
And Jacob and I are excited to have Colin Shipley on with us, man. So it hasn't popped on the screen yet, even though we're recording Zoom here if you're listening on the podcast. But Colin, thanks for joining the show this week.
Oh, thanks for you guys having me on here. So pretty cool we get to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So Colin, late model driver here, making some waves. Tell us a little bit. Well, before we get too much into that, did you stay up and watch the Wild West Shootout last night?
I did.
You did?
It was a pretty good race.
Let's say 3rd to 1st for Zach Alberson there after Marlar and Pierce got together.
That was crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then did you see Marlar's interview after the race?
I did.
Missed that. Did you see it?
I watched Marlar's. I did not get to see Pierce's. I don't know if Pierce had an interview or not.
I don't know if Pierce did or not, but Clint, you said you didn't watch the interview?
I didn't see the interviews,
man.
but I did see Pierce has an interview on Flow Racing. I just haven't watched it yet.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, I'll tell you this. At the end of Marlar's interview, he ended it with, shit happens, we're tough, and they're whiners. So, so good old Mike Marlar here. That was pretty good. It was a good race.
It was, we had Pierce, Marlar, in a lap car, right? That all dove into 3 at the same time. Alberson stayed on the outside, but Colin, in your experience in a late model, was anything there unavoidable? Was it avoidable? I mean, what's your take on that situation? We're going to put you in the situation they've been putting drivers in the Chili Bowl all week. What did you think about what just happened?
We actually had a huge debate on the couch right after it happened on whose fault it was. I think it was avoidable, but I don't really think it ever would have been avoidable depending on I don't think it should have been avoided. I think it was kind of a racing deal. It was both their fault, racing hard for the checkered. I probably would have lifted just because I'm a more timid driver, but when you're racing at that level, I don't think anybody would have lifted. I don't think anybody there would have lifted. So I think it was more or less just a racing deal. I think it would have happened no matter who it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was definitely a certain level of intensity that had built up to that moment, and I don't think anybody was going to let up. It was a final lap going into turn 3, and whoever goes the hardest and can hang on to it coming out of 4 is going to get there first. So,
and that time it just happened to be Zach Alberson. Sometimes you just got to be in the right spot.
Those guys are all racing hard as possible. So there's no inch to give up when you're top 3 at a race like that.
Right.
So have you been, Colin, you've been toggling back and forth between Wild West and the Chili Bowl?
What's that?
Have you been toggling back and forth between the Wild West Shootout and the Chili Bowl? I've been watching both.
I haven't really watched much of the Chili Bowl. I've really been watching the Wild West. I really haven't been watching the midgets. I watched Over New Year's, I watched a little bit the week after, but that wasn't the Chili Bowl, and I never really got to watch the midgets. I watched the micros a little bit, but never really paid too much attention.
So we're recording on Thursday here. Wednesday night, Rico Abreu gets his 5th Wednesday night win
in a row.
In a row. Yeah. I mean, he could clearly just put that car wherever he wanted to last night. It was Keith Kuhn had it hooked up for him.
Oh yeah. I mean, KT gave him a little run there, and I think Jason McDougal might have been down on power in that feature, but yeah, I mean, Rico, Wednesday night, man.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a pretty exciting. Your guy, buddy Kofoid, Jacob, has gotten a win.
Oh yeah.
He was your pick to win it. My pick, Tyler Courtney, came in 2nd on Monday night.
Correct.
So we'll see what unfolds here for the rest of the week.
I think so. It's going to be 3 more nights, and there's a lot of racing left, and there's only one driller, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's talk about Colin. How's man? Tell us a little bit of how you felt about your year, what you got into this year, and just give us a little recap if you got the chance, if you're willing to.
We had a great year this year. We ended up getting our first win this year. Started off pretty fast. We had some top 3s. We ended up going down to Florida earlier this year. I think the first night in Florida, we started 15th and ended up 6th. The second night, we started 6th, finished 6th. So we're pretty consistent. Came back home from Florida, started off pretty strong with a couple top 3s. Mid-season, we kind of fell off. We're just all right, kind of keep pace. And then made a couple adjustments and came right back in full force for the end of the season. And we ended up getting our first win, a couple more top 3s, and we ended up blowing a motor, and we kind of missed last month and a half of racing.
Let's say I thought I had
overall it's pretty good season.
And say I thought I hadn't seen you that much at like Attica, or seen your name pop up in results there that last little bit of the season, and that would explain why. But I think you're 16 years old, 17 years old, right? If I remember Brian.
Yep, I'm 16.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I heard Brian say that you were 16. So I mean, what was it like getting that first win in a super late model at 16 years old?
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just glad that I get the opportunity to even race, to be honest with you. It was awesome being able to beat Rusty too. It's not like we just went to a track with only like 3 or 4 cars and got our first win. It was a full field. It was pretty cool. And being able to, get out of the car and you have Rusty there, my stepdad, you have my dad there, like my whole family was there. My grandpas were all there. I had my mom there, my little brother, all the little fans, and we had the SMA car, so it was for a good cause. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Where did you say where you got your first win? What track was that?
It was at Oakshade Raceway.
Yes.
In Waseon.
Okay. So let's back up a little bit. How long have you been in the late model, and where did it start? Did you start in the late model, or did you build up to that from something else?
So it started when I was about 7. We got these little 1-wheel carts that weren't even, it was just only spun the left rear tire. So we went the wrong way around the kart track in the backyard we built behind our house. The little kart track was flat. And so my stepdad ended up adding a little bit of banking to it. And we finally ended up getting some race carts. I think I was probably 8 by then. And then we just raced in the backyard for a couple of years. We'd had some events. We'd had some people come over. I think the most we got was like 40 carts.
Oh my.
It was a pretty good event. It was quite a few carts, but when I was 11.
I can think of a lot of go-kart tracks that would be pleased with 40 carts on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a tiny track too. So we didn't run them all. But it was like 30, 40 carts, high 30s. When I was 11, we ended up getting a clone motor, and we decided to make our first Junior 1 race at Little Eldora. Just kind of threw something together. We didn't really know what we were doing. We still don't really know much about karts. There's too much that goes into tires and stuff like that. There's no suspension, so it's all in tire prep. And we made it out there. I ended up finishing third my first race in the junior ones at Little Eldora. And me and Larry Kingseed would go at it for 2 years. Me and him would go at it every single race up until I was about 13. It was first and second between me and Larry Kingstead. So when I turned 13, I think that was the year he finally decided to get into a 305, and I decided to get into a 604 late model. We're talking about getting like a Sportsman or a Bomber, but by the time we put a late model together, it'd be cheaper because my dad and my stepdad were both racing at the time, and they both had the spare parts to put a car together. And I ended up racing a 604 for my first race ever at Farmer City.
Okay.
So we made the drive all the way out to Farmer City. I didn't get hot laps. I think I went straight into qualifying. First time ever. I had practiced Rusty's car at Oakshade, but it was dry, slick on a Sunday. They hadn't prepped the track. We go out to Farmer City. It's foot flat on the floorboard for the supers. And I'm in my little 604. So we ended up, I think I was running mid-pack in that feature. I don't remember what we broke, but we broke something. I pulled in. Where we come home and we're deciding whether I want to put the skinny tires on it for a Sportsman or put the big tires on it for a late model is the next week. We already had all the big tires and stuff. We would have gone and bought skinny tires. So we decided running a 604 against the supers at our local track. So it was towards the end of the season. I made about 5 races on that engine, and that thing got grenaded. It was bad. So we ended up racing a 604 the next year. We mostly stayed at Oakshade. We went to, I think, Attica a couple of times, and I was just underpowered. We went to Merritt a couple of times. It was decent. It was really my first full season in a late model. And then we ended up getting a J. Dickens motor the next year. And we went out to Heavely. And I think we qualified decent. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was in the top half. And that was pretty big show. This was during COVID. So they had everybody there. B-Shep was there. It was a pretty big race. It was only like $4,000, but it was the only race at the time. And then we just kind of slowly started progressing our way up into a big motor. We ended up blowing up the J. Dickens, which was about a 700 horsepower motor. And we started slowly working our way up. We went from beat up 604 to a new 604 to a nice J. Dickens motor that we ended up blowing up, and then eventually worked our way up to this LS motor, which is awesome, by the way. It's LS7 by Mullins. It's nice, smooth power, and we've been running that ever since, and we love it. And we finished out that season on the Mullins motor, and then we started out this season on the Mullins motor. And then that led us up to this season.
And say, go ahead.
I was going to say, you said you kicked off the season in Florida. What tracks did you hit when you were down there?
We only went to Southern Raceway. We went down there, and I think we got there Wednesday, practice Thursday, race Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
No.
Let's say enough to get the feet wet and shake the car down before coming back up north for the season, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably the best thing you can do in the off season is to just head down south, even if it's only Tennessee for one race, because by the time you come back for Attica, we were full force, so we ended up getting third that night.
Right.
I think all of that was due to going down to Florida, and plus you learn so much in a new environment.
Let's say, so for the 2022 season, what's something that you want to improve on as a driver?
Well, there's too much. I gotta say the biggest thing is probably running a cushion and being more aggressive. Like I said earlier, I'm still a very timid driver. I need to be able to make the passes sooner, where I might wait 2 laps to make a pass, where everybody else is only waiting one corner to make a pass.
Mm-hmm.
So just need to learn how to be a more aggressive driver and how to get up on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned Oakshade, Attica, Florida. Did you say you had the chance to race in Tennessee?
Yeah, so we've raced Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Mississippi. No, yeah, Mississippi, Florida, Tennessee, and I believe that's it.
Oh my. So you're a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, so we've gotten to travel quite a bit. It definitely helps with improvement. If you are struggling at your home track, to go somewhere new and just learn, and when you come back to your home track, it helps tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can imagine that you mentioned, being able to ride the curb, but you go to a different track and it could be completely different. I mean, there's no curb, you know what I mean? Or it's dry slick, like you said. The tracks in Mississippi are going to be completely different than Ohio. Georgia is going to be completely different than Michigan. Mm-hmm. So you didn't say you'd been to Georgia yet, but I grew up watching late models in Georgia, so I had to mention it. Cool. So what's the plans for 2022? You try to get some tracks that you haven't been to yet, or do you know yet? Are you headed to Florida in January or February?
It changes every week. It's we really can't decide. We don't know. We were just talking actually earlier this week about Florida. I don't know. It's that Florida changes every hour. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We want to kind of travel. We stayed around Attica Oakshade quite a bit last year, and we want to travel a little bit and just hit up a couple, even if it's the same tracks, just to try and do a couple different tracks every so many weeks,
mm-hmm.
just to stay fresh and try and learn new things,
mm-hmm.
kind of get in the groove. We stay at the same two tracks of just trying to be consistent and do the exact same thing every time. And I want to be able to change it up a little bit, and it helps me progress further.
Mm-hmm.
If I, like when we went to I-96, a good example. We went to I-96 and it's way faster than Attica, and we're running the cushion at I-96. So when I came back to Attica, it was night and day difference. I was way faster at Attica just because I wasn't scared of the curb anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things
to travel a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we've seen a lot of the last couple of years is late model drivers in and out of a circuit. So they may get in, start the point series, drop off point series, and then just start either chasing money races or picking and choosing where they want to race. Do you, in your future, do you see potential of shooting for a point series, or do you think you would prefer to pick and choose what you want to do?
That's a tough question. I mean, obviously, I prefer to pick and choose what I want to do, but at the same time, you have to run for some series every now and then. We're thinking about ALMS. I don't really know if what's going on this year with that though. This year is going to be a really good year to pick and choose for a lot of national level guys, because there's a lot of big money races this year, especially on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like I know there's a 50,000 to win during the Dome in Florida this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of people going to that over the Dome this year, but it's good to build up your resume with the series. So I'm kind of caught in between trying to just, bounce from track to track and try and progress, or run for money, or build my resume up with a series.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully you have a lot of years left in your career to choose that.
That.
So
gonna say, so when you go out and you run out in Illinois or something, Illinois is more known for late model racing, Florida's more known for late model racing, as is Tennessee. So you race in Ohio. Ohio is kind of known as a 410, but I mean, you're still going up against guys like Rusty and Ryan Markham, Doug Drown, Ryan Missler, and I'm missing a whole bunch. But how do racing against those guys here in Ohio make you a better driver?
Well, I mean, they're all better than me. So the more you race against them, the more, to be honest, they're all better than me. They got way more experience. But, every time you race against them, I get better slightly and slightly and slightly. Every time I race against them, just learning. You try to only make one mistake once. So every time you get out there and you make that mistake, you get out of the car, you watch the tape, you watch the video, you study what they did, and then you can put that back into your own little book and use it.
I'm gonna say, do you kind of feel like Ohio might get overlooked at times? Because I mean, there is a lot of late model talent here in Ohio.
I don't know. I think that it's not that we get overlooked. It's just that Illinois is kind of on a pedestal, just because of all of the insane talent that comes out of Illinois. I mean, Ohio still has some really good race teams in it. I think that just Illinois has more racing in it and more track, so it's kind of put up on a pedestal next to us. I don't think we really get overlooked over some of the other states like Tennessee and stuff like that. I think it's just that Illinois is so big, it overshadows all of us.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right on. Well, Colin, we're about out of time here, so I appreciate you joining us here on the Ohio Dirt Track podcast this week. Jacob, do you have anything else before we part ways here?
I think I made it through our list of questions. I think.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna chase it down, man, and check in with you here at the end of the season and see how it went for you, and get you back on the show again if that's all right.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
All right. We'll if you head to Florida, have a safe trip, enjoy the weather, and we hope it's successful for you. And like I said, we'll chase you down and get you back on the show.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Yep. Thanks for tuning in to the Ohio Dirt Track podcast again. And we'll be back with you maybe in 3 days, maybe in a week. We don't know. We're just cranking them out here. So until next time, get out, get dirty, support your local tracks.